Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the school board meeting. A lot of familiar faces out there. This is a really happy event tonight to recognize so many of our students, and we're awfully proud of you. But I would like to take one moment here, and it was a tough week last week in our schools, especially at Peter Hobart. As all of you know, we lost 2 of our kids. And when that happens, that's the toughest thing for any school district, and especially for any parents anywhere. So our hearts go out to our parents, and our hearts go out to the whole school community, to our teachers, and to everyone involved in this. And so what I'd like to ask is that we take just one moment of silence for the students that we lost, and send our prayers out to our student who's still in hospital, who's healing right now. So just one moment of silence to begin the evening. Thank you all. Now on to much happier events. I'd like to recognize our students, and we have a lot of recognition to be done tonight, and a number of different people will present as our students come up. So we'll take them one at a time, and I'll move over there to get ourselves started. Our first Spotlight Award tonight is for Sami Rahamim. Sami, are you here? Okay, I don't see him here. This is for the 2013 Rose Rees Peace Award. And I think all of you are aware of what Sami has been doing. He's had national recognition for his work on gun control, and he's been honored by this award. And this will be passed along to Sami. Catherine Ostrom. Come on up, Catherine. Catherine is our 2013 Athena Award winner, and she is this award is given to, I guess, our absolute best athlete among our women athletes, and she is just an exciting athlete, and it has been fun to watch her perform over the years, and congratulations to you. Thank you. Yeah, are your parents here tonight? Right there. Parents, could you give us a wave? Okay, thank you. Welcome. Thank you. Every year, we have our kids participate in the History Day Awards, and Carly Craigness will present our History Day Awards.
St. Louis Park has a strong tradition of competing in the State History Day competition. This was our largest competition ever. We start out here, we have so many people that do it in St. Louis Park that we have to have our own local event. Many other schools have locals with several schools, but we had 400 students this year start out doing History Day here. And even some of these people in the front of the room, including Dr. Bowers, came and judged, which was great to have her participation in that this year. So I'm here to introduce the students who made it all the way to the state event. And the process that they do in order to do that is they qualify first at our locals, and then they go to compete in a district competition, which is basically the metropolitan area. There are a couple districts in the metro area, and then the top few in each event from that qualify to go to state. And then there are awards at state. So I'm going to introduce the people who made it to state, and we'll tell you where they placed at state. Our excuse me. I should add that between each level of this event, the students revise their projects, and some of them like completely scrap it and start over. They did do History Day, most of them, for a class initially, but once locals was over, they were done with class. So everything after that, the revising, the making it to districts, the doing it over again, all of that happened on their own initiative. They worked really hard. A lot of them came in and met with their teachers, but really it was their motivation that took them to state, that took them anywhere beyond locals. Okay, our highest placing group in third place group performance, I'll name all 4 students, and any of the 4 of you that are here can come up. Is that okay? Okay, Gabe Bishinho, Emma Weisner, Cole Bassig, and Bessie Bowman. Okay, we have several honorable mentions, so I'll name all the honorable mentions. Honorable mention performance, Isabel Pasteur. Honorable mention documentary, this was a group together, Isaac Greenwood, Noah Betz-Rickman, Jonah Resnick, and Connor Wickland. Honorable mention documentary, Allie Michelin. And honorable mention exhibit, Gila Grad. Any of them here? Come on up. An honorable mention is about 5th to 10th place. It depended on the event, but it's either 5th to 9th or 5th to 11th, depending on how many people there were in the event. So that's what that means. Other people that were also able to qualify and compete in the state event: Chloe Johnson, Allison Betcher, David Hope, Ori Etzion, Emmy Zhang, Natalie Vig, Aaron Wells, Nick Harkness, Ben McCone, Elliot Schwartz, and Duncan McIntyre. So congratulations to all of them. Good job, girls. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Why don't we do it right now? Let's stay here. Sammy is here, and I'll have Rob say a few words.
Thank you. I just wanted to say a word about Sammy and really explain the Rosaries Peace Awards. Each year, Dr. Bowers and I get to go to the Rosaries Peace Awards, which is really a fulfilling day because there are a few students from the Twin Cities area who are recognized by the Rosaries Awards each year. These are people that have gone above and beyond the call of duty to make for a more peaceful world. And when you live your typical daily life and you get down, sometimes you think everything's going wrong and nothing's going right. You go to the Rosaries Peace Awards and you hear 15 to 20 of the best and brightest students in the Twin Cities, and you hear their work on behalf of making the world a more peaceful place, and you leave with just a big heart and a happy smile, and you think the world's in good hands. And Sammy was a perfect representative of St. Louis Park this year. He's been working tirelessly on the behalf of making the world a more peaceful place. So Sammy, we'd like to recognize you. Come on up. There you go.
This is National Honor Society. These are our, and Julie, you're going to do this? Okay, great. Come on up. And these are our officers.
One here.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say a couple things about what the National Honor Society did this year. First of all, we had 44 juniors and 44 seniors and 47 juniors inducted into the National Honor Society this year, April 21st at our spring banquet. In order to get there, first, in order to be invited into the National Honor Society, they needed to have either juniors a GPA above 3.75 and seniors either above a 3.75 or above a 3.5 with 5 or more AP or IB classes. And then once they were invited throughout the year, they had to do New members had to do 30 individual service hours. Returning members had to do 20 individual service hours. Everyone had to do at least 3 group projects, attend early morning meetings in this room on Thursday mornings, and of course have a clean discipline record and have great character. Some of the group projects that we did here in the St. Louis Park community, we did the Westwood Hills Halloween parties, we did bingo at Shalom Home during the holiday season, we volunteered at the Step Food Shelf, and did the Winter Meltdown Indoor Carnival at Central in February. So I have one of my 4 student officers here. My president, Lonnie Abelson, vice president, Hannah Broderson, Secretary Carter Robinson were not able to be here, but Willie Morrow, my public relations officer, is here, so come on up. And the student officers really lead the way. They choose all the projects that we do. They lead all the meetings. They pretty much organize everything. I'm just there to support them. And I suppose I will also recognize there's a lot of inducted members sitting in the room right now. So if you were inducted this spring, why don't you stand up and we can recognize you too.
Lisa Green will present our Caring Youth Awards. And we do want to grab pictures, so if everybody who's already received an award who hasn't had your picture taken yet, please stay, and afterward we'll grab your pictures before we let you all go.
The Caring Youth Recognition event honors youth in our community for their spirit of caring and concern for others. These young people volunteer in their schools, churches, various community organizations like Perspectives or the Meadowbrook Collaborative. And then those organizations nominate one young person every year to receive this award. The Caring Youth Recognition was started in 1989 by Roland and Doris Larson. We've had an event every year since then. Approximately 400 youth have been recognized through this event. This year's event was held on Tuesday, April 23rd. The following young people were recognized, and if you're here, come on up. Fatuma Mohammed. Alan Kwan. Jasmine Koita. Carolyn Capcella. Mackenzie Dunleavy. Andrew Jewell. Anna McCloskey. Eric Manuel. Leah Bronstein. Mac Hugenrod. Alexandra Pasquale. Morgan McDonald. Sabriana Dot. Samantha Bremer. Isabella Nordahl. And I want to thank all of these young people for all the work that they do in our community.
While we have them all here, parents, if you have cameras, feel free to...
You can make 2 lines. Tell us in the back. And away from the door. How about over here on the yellow wall?
There you go. Come over to this one.
There we go.
Lori Keekley will present the Echo Gold Crown Award.
We have some more out there. Come on up, Emma. I'm Lori Keekley. I'm the advisor of the Echo. Thank you for inviting the Echo students today. We appreciate your continued support of the program, and of course, for always being available to interview. As you probably know, the Echo is a student-led publication with 41 staff members, many of whom are here tonight. If asked, these students would tell you that they do the work. I follow them around and often ask them questions. They deserve the praise for any accolade they get. The students lead from the beginning, whether it's the first issue for the first day of school, day one, that they start on August 4th, or around there, to their day-to-day work in which the students start. They talk about the goals that they have, what they need to do that day, the next day, and even further on to the publication cycle. I remind them of scholarship opportunities, journalism opportunities, and to clean the room. As these students know, and they would tell you, our goals do not involve winning awards. It's great when it happens, but it's not our primary goal. We strive to be accurate, ethical, and cover the students and staff at Park High the best we can in both the print and online editions. The students publish 11 print editions and update the online site 2 to 3 times on a weekly basis with web-specific content. They also use social media to promote the website. As for the awards, the 2011-2012 Echo was named a Columbia Scholastic Press Association Gold Crown. The crown is the highest award that CSPA gives. The Echo was one of 13 print newspapers in the nation to get the award. It's the only publication from Minnesota on the list. Previously, the Echo won a gold crown in 2006 and a silver in 2012. To be on the list is really an accomplishment. In addition to the national award, the students have placed individually at both a state level and the national level as well. In both of these, there's only 1 first, 1 second, 1 third, and up to 3 to 5 honorable mentions depending on the category. In the state awards given by the Minnesota High School Press Association, the students had 3 first places, 3 second places, 2 thirds, and 4 honorable mentions out of 12 categories. Nationally, in CSPA, the students had 3 honorable mentions and 1 student won, well, we did as a staff, it was a group effort, won first place nationally. I'd like to thank Rob Metz and the rest of the administrative team, Dr. Bowers, and the board for recognizing these great students and for supporting them along the way. Also to the parents, thank you. You loan me your students about once every 3 weeks from 3:30 to 11:30 at night. They really are with me, I promise. Thank you again for inviting us and recognizing these great students for their awards. Echo, as many of you know in the room, the parents, it's not your traditional class. We work collaboratively in school and out of school, sometimes at 10 o'clock at night working on a Google Doc. We work together. The group kind of becomes a Brady Bunch-esque family. Sometimes they fight lovingly. Sometimes, you know, they sporadically sing. But the students create a family and they work through going through high school and the journey that entails together. This is a really special group of students, the juniors. I know you're going to do a great job and continue this. And to the seniors, to my 18 seniors, you're a very special group. And I do appreciate all the work you've done. Thank you. And I'm going to con Sarah Brandt into helping me. She's our editor. Let's do blood. Have fun. Do you want to announce the people? Or do you want me to? Oh. Her voice is having a hard time today. So we have, what's the easiest way to do this? I'm sorry. Okay. Oh. Lonnie Abelson, Carolyn Algram, Daniel Appleman, Charlie Bonson, Sarah Brandt. Oh, Carolyn. And Khadijah's here.
Are we going through?
No, I've got the certificates here,
Okay.
so let's take them
Okay.
a little more slowly.
Caroline. Charlie Bonson's not, I don't think. Sarah Brandt, who's our editor-in-chief. Hannah Broderson. Grant Donald. Zachary Elijah Gilbert Burke. Kayla Goldfarb. Hannah Hine. Oh, sorry. That's Kayla. Marissa Iversrud. Oh. Willie Morrow. Sammy Rami. Alex Rosman. Maddie Savitt. Dylan Scott. Nick Shaughnessy. Grace Stevenhagen. And those are the seniors. I have more. Josh Anderson, and a lot of these people are on Ultimate Frisbee. Cole Basig, Nick Pacino, Noah Betts Richmond, Khadijah. Sure. Brenna Cook. Artis Griskus. Carter Green. Sorry, I'm trying to skip the ones I know aren't here. Isaac Greenwood, Janet Holmes, Mods Jacobson, Sten Johnson, Lucas Kemp, Zach Knighton, Kohler. Ryan McCanna, Jonah Resnick, Josh Scull, Dylan Scott, who's a senior. Sorry, Dylan. Okay, you have yours, all right. Amelia Shankowitz, Claire Stephenhagen, Ari Weinstein, Emma Weisner. Emma. Are we forgetting about Emma? Where's Emma? All right. Thank you very much.
It's awesome. It's Casey's birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kinkley. Happy birthday to you.
Picture. Right in the back. Tall folks in the back. 2 lines. Or 3. How about 3 or somebody has to sit? There you go. Thank you. Everybody else, everybody. Okay, it's my turn. 1, 2, 3. Now parents can go.
Good.
There you go.
Lori, I can mail them out too, unless you're gonna see them? I'll see them too. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Andy Ewald, come on up, Coach. There are some really great things that we do, and whenever our teams win, that's really great. But it's our academic all-conference people that we're really proud of, and we're tickled to present these awards tonight. Coach?
Thanks, Bruce. Thank you for having me here tonight, School Board. Our conference, the North Suburban Conference, does something that's pretty unique that a lot of the conferences in the metro area don't do, which is recognize their senior athletes that are also outstanding scholars. And in our conference, the North Suburban Conference, to be eligible for this award, you need to be a senior athlete who has a 3.5 or higher cumulative GPA. So those are the student athletes that we're going to be recognizing tonight. Should we go off of that, or do you want me to go off the list?
Why don't you mention them? Let's go down the list, but tell you, as they're here, why don't you come on up and make sure we get them the right.
Sounds good. Elena Abelson, Daniel Appelman, Charlie Bonson, Ryan Bell, Kristen Botzett, Sarah Brandt, Samantha Bremer, Samuel Brimacombe, Hannah Broderson, Rachel Buman, Joseph Burke, Shimrit Casuto, Maria Castillo Cuevas, Tamara Kokavovich, Grant Donald, Erica Fry, Zach Gilbert Burke, Kayla Goldfarb, Benjamin Gruber, Shelby Hyenga, Hannah Hine, Jane Henderson, Elizabeth Herbert, Gregory Jacobs, Frank Jermusik, Madeline Johnson, Philip Kirsten, Henry Clavercamp, Marissa Kruger, Jenna Laidlaw, Jonathan Lehman, Michelle McCosh, Jillian McCushton, Daniel Moldo, William Morrow, Alyssa Newman, Margaret O'Brien, Annika Olhaven, Miranda Olson, Sophia Olson, Rebecca Patterson, Donald Pollard, Samantha Rempfer, Riley Rorden, Carter Robinson, Nolan Rockers, Alex Rosman, Dylan Scott. Amelia Shankwitz. Nick Shaughnessy. Richard Schmickler. Sarah Silbert, Haley Sperling, Grace Steffenhagen. Parker Stennis. Not here. His mom's here though, so we can clap. Catherine Sweeney, Sophia Timken, Laura Thompson, Sarah Webb, Augusta Weedy, and Aaron Zimmerman. So again, not just on the field of play or the multiple sports that most of them do, but in the classroom they're very successful, and they're a great snapshot of what we try to do and what we hope all our student athletes strive to be, which is successful in all areas of life. I'd also really quickly like to take the opportunity to recognize our synchronized swimming team, which, as Grace is raising the roof, they took third this past weekend at state. And a year ago, they took fifth. Best case scenario this year, if everything worked out exactly right, we thought third was about where we would finish. And so they reached their goals and kind of overachieved to get there, because it really was going to be a challenge to get to third. The two teams that finished first and second are much bigger programs. So hats off to them, and to you, Grace.
Here, I'll go down. Oh, I'm not gonna make it. Okay, that's all right.
On three. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you all. Congratulations.
Okay, scan. Apparently my mom wants a photo.
And we need our Athena Award winner also. Coach, you want to be here with our
Sure.
Athena Award winner? Sammy? You're in the middle though.
Where were you? What time did you get here? I didn't even see you.
Our spotlight is now complete. Gee, everybody's gone. We would love to have all those parents stay. I know, and it's so great that you're here. At this point, we'll have our call to order and work our way down through the agenda. The approval of the agenda. We'll have open forum, the superintendent's report. Our discussion items tonight are about College Possible, the school nutrition update, and then on our consent agenda, we'll have that as item number 6. Item 7 is our action agenda, communications and transmittals, and then adjournment. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Larry, second by Nancy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, the agenda is approved. Open forum. Anyone to speak tonight? Okay, no, we have no one to speak tonight for open forum. Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Good afternoon. I have invited a special guest tonight. I've invited Chris Weaver. He is the project manager for the SWLRT, where he oversees the development of the project. And tonight's presentation is going to provide us with an overview of the freight rail design options that may impact our school facilities. And then he'll also talk about next steps with moving forward. Thanks very much, Chris, for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Superintendent, for inviting me this evening. Chair, nice to meet you. My name is Chris Weyer. I am the project director for Southwest. I want to start off by just thank you for inviting me over today. We realize time is, you've got a lot on your agenda today, so we'll go through this pretty briskly, but I want to kind of preface this by saying we see this as kind of the beginning of a discussion and dialogue regarding the different options and opportunities that Southwest is going to present and some of the challenges that it has as we work through the freight rail discussion. So with that, if it's okay with you, I'd like to kind of work through the slides here as a PowerPoint. Any particular place that's best to point to? Yeah, I'll just use the arrows. There we go. So for today's topics, we do want to do a quick overview of the overall project and its timeline, then kind of focus in a little bit on the freight rail and some of the work that's been done over the last 4 months, and give you an update on the look ahead of what we'll be doing for next steps from that point. So as most of you I'm sure know, Southwest is a proposed light rail line that will run from Eden Prairie into downtown Minneapolis via Minnetonka, Hopkins, St. Louis Park, and then down in through Minneapolis and interlining with the Central Corridor, or what is now being called the Green Line. So when it's complete, this line, essentially you can run a one-seat ride from Eden Prairie into downtown St. Paul. St. Louis Park has 3 stations along the alignment here at Louisiana, Wooddale, and Beltline. The timeline is we entered into, at that time, what was called preliminary engineering. That's an FTA, or Federal Transit Administration gate, if you will, that recognizes the project as consideration for federal funding. So at that point began the environmental process and our preliminary engineering work. They've renamed that to project development, but it's essentially the same phase. We hope to get into what is now deemed engineering in 2014, again another FTA step that we need to walk through. And then 2015, the full funding grant agreement is really the federal government's commitment to the project, if you will. They entered into a contract with the local sponsor, the Met Council, that says they will pay that 50% federal share for the overall project. And then we would begin construction in 15, with the 2 heaviest years of construction being 16 and 17, with the hope of opening up for a revenue service in 2018. This might be a little difficult to see, but hopefully you have your packets as well. As we go through the preliminary engineering of the project, needed to break the project into kind of bite-sized chunks, if you will. So we came up with 25 different technical issues. Most of those are geographic in nature along the alignment. And then we have a series of 4 more global that you could see, 22 through 25. The issue that I'm going to focus a little bit on today is issue number 21, and that's that freight rail determination of its location. So this just kind of gives you a graphic representation of where those 21 actually geographic different issues lie upon the line. So it starts down at Eden Prairie and then works its way to the interchange, which is part of the where now Target Field is today, where this line will interconnect with Central Corridor. So a little bit of focus on this technical issue number 21 today. And before I start, I do also want to point out that at the same time, at 6:30 this evening, there was a more, I'll call it, robust discussion on the different alternatives and options that are being explored for the freight rail, both in a co-location alternative through the Kenilworth corridor and then in a relocation scenario where it would go on to the M&NS. And so that will be, that particular presentation that's being done tonight will actually be online. So if you want to see a little bit more in-depth discussion, that's probably about an hour-long presentation. So two things. Number one, short takeaway today to kind of get you grounded if you want to look at that, or we also would be more than happy to come back and do more in-depth discussion as we move forward. Like I said, see, this is kind of our first step in the process into exploring this with you. So for background, when we received the letter of entry into what was then preliminary engineering from the FTA, one of the conditions on it was that the determination of a co-location or relocation for freight rail needed to be considered as part of the project. So it kind of became the project's responsibility to make that determination. And so as part of what we're doing through this preliminary engineering effort is to do that due diligence to see what are the alternatives, what would be the best path forward for the region. So to step through that process, we have a team of consultants that are working on it. The first thing they did is they reviewed the existing information, both on the M&NS line, which runs through St. Louis Park today, and the Kenilworth corridor, where the rail company Twin Cities and Western runs through today currently, and to see what those differences are. What are the different track profiles? What are the grades and the curvatures? And then to do an overview of that technical issue, document what we find, and then start exploring what could be done in those two different alternatives. So this kind of lays the groundwork for where those different rail lines occur. In the yellow, that's that corridor that we're speaking of right now that ultimately becomes the Kenilworth corridor running through Minneapolis. The pink line that you see is that M&NS line that we were talking about, the one that goes right by the high school here. And then the Wayzata sub, or the blue line, is actually BNSF-owned railway that in either event, Twin Cities and Western hooks up with. In the co-location, they come out right by Penn Avenue. And then in this other alternative, it would be up right at the intersection there. So we're not going to spend a lot of time tonight because we were asked to look at some of the relocation alternatives, but do want to point out that at the same time, there's 6 different co-location options that are being explored in the Kenilworth corridor. All modes at grade, and by all modes we mean freight, light rail, and then there's an existing trail system in there as well. Then there's another option for relocating the trail, elevating the trail, elevating LRT, and then 2 different tunnel options. One would be a shallow tunnel that would be basically cut and cover, and then one that would be a deep bored tunnel, actually 2 twin bored tunnels going through the pinch points that are in Kenilworth corridor today. Three options I'm bringing tonight just to take a quick look at, and again, much more discussion to occur, is what we're deeming the modified M&NS connection. Really what that is that's the alignment that was shown in the DEIS, which the school district did comment on, provided comment through the DEIS about concerns. We do have that, we've looked at that. And then the other 2 options are 2 that would take it off the M&NS alignment a little bit and put it in different locations, which I'll show you graphically here in a second. So first, the modified M&NS. Really what we did here is we took what was in the DEIS document and then said, what can we do to kind of soften the curvature? The railroads have concerns about the curves and the grades that are in there. So we took a hard look at what can we do in terms of softening the grades. Ideally, they want to be flat and straight. And particularly with freight rail, that is something that's important to them. So we looked at what we could do to soften those. After looking at it, both CP Railroad and Twin City and Western acknowledged that we made some adjustments and made things better. They still have concerns about what is called a reverse curve or an S curve that runs through there where you start and go back another way. And so that is one of the things that they expressed in their comments and that we continue to hear from them. And they asked us to look at some other alternatives that maybe could eliminate the S curve. One of those, and this doesn't show up real well on the screen.
Ask a question real quick.
Yes.
So why was the S curve first considered? Was it to avoid the football field, or why would you not just? Why wouldn't it be straight to begin with?
Well, I can't fully answer that because at the time that that DEIS was developed, the Met Council wasn't doing the preliminary engineering work. It was very preliminary, what they were looking at. And so as we started walking through the preliminary engineering, understanding the concerns of the railroad, responding to their comments in the DEIS, that's when we were asked to at least take a look at these other options. So it was there, and they have strong reservations about it, which is why we're looking at other alternatives. And I do want to point out that in this particular option, yes, there is this one would potentially take and go through that football field, and we recognize that as a very strong concern. So we wanted to look at this, not only this, but then what else?
Should we add on the new artificial turf as part of that? Just thought
a year and a half ago, correct? Yes. Yes, we've heard that message as well, new artificial turf. So yes, we recognize that as a big concern. It would, in this case, that alignment, pulls a little further away. So again, initial discussions, we're looking for input and feedback. We know these are new, so there wasn't that opportunity to comment, so we'll be looking for those types of feedback. And Sandy Salen is part of our issue resolution team now. She's come on, and thank you for offering her time to explore this with us as well. So hopefully she'll keep you in the loop as we move forward as well. The next alternative is what we're deeming the Brunswick Central alignment, and this one shifts a little further away, and so it would not directly impact the football field, but we do get tight in there. We see that. Now, at the same time, we're seeing a plan right now, but we have to look at the elevations as well and the grades. And so one of the things that's being looked at is to bring those, in either of those alternatives, to bring that up and actually have it grade separated from the existing street grid. That would soften the grades, but it also has some other elements to it as well. So we have visual by being up, but you also have the potential for eliminating some of those at-grade crossings that you see today through town. So those are some of the things that need to be explored as we move forward through this. We recognize that there are some properties that will be impacted, either in partial or total takings, and so we're starting to identify those and see what that means. On this particular document, you see both alternatives going through that area that's by the football field. It does appear that the central option would not have that impact on it, but we just want to recognize that because that's a large parcel, in any event, it would have an impact on school district property. And then this would be the far end of that alignment, and what's there today is that what's called the MN&S spur, where once a day trains go up and down through that alignment north of 394. In this proposed relocation alternative, the freight tracks would then reconnect at that Wayzata sub, and they would, so that traffic would then make that curve go onto about a 5,000-foot siding and then wait to get onto the BNSF-owned Wayzata sub. So a lot to think about. Recognize you're going to need some time to look at this, understand it. We'll be more than happy to come back, have dialogue with your staff, have dialogue with you. But we wanted to get this to you so you at least start to see some of the things that are being explored in addition to that DEIS or MN&S connection alignment. So we hope that we can work together with you to look at these and see if these have some opportunities as well as those challenges that we talked about. And did want to mention to you again that there is a meeting going on right now concurrently that they're going into more of a level of detail on all of the options, not just these couple that we've shown you today. That's going to be available for your review, and then also we'll be more than happy if you are interested to come back and give a more robust discussion on that as well, if that's something you're interested in. In terms of next steps, if you're interested, we do have so we have the school board meeting tonight. We also have that council meeting. We will be going to the Minneapolis Transportation and Public Works Committee next Tuesday morning to give them a similar presentation to what's being done this evening at the City Council in St. Louis Park. And then we will be having a joint, this project has advisory committees that advise through this process, both at the community level, Community Advisory Committee and a Business Advisory Committee. They're going to hold a joint meeting next week on the 6th. And we'll go through this entire thing again with them so that they can see all of those different ideas that are being explored. That will then feed into the Corridor Management Committee, which is a body of policymakers that advise the project on what directions to take, how to move forward through the process. So that's city council members, mayors, Hennepin County commissioners, MnDOT, several other agencies are on that as well. And then we will be having a public open house on June 13th. We can get you the actual dates and times on these as well if you're interested. That public open house will be up in Old St. Margaret, as will the BAC-CAC meeting. But we can get you the times and all that. In fact, the open house is actually a series of 2. We're doing one in the morning for those who can make it in the morning but can't make it in the evening, and then we'll be doing one later in the evening as well. Is that correct, Sophia? Want to make sure? Yep. So then after that, next steps would be really to develop cost estimates, which we're still working through to see what those impacts and cost estimates would be, continue the refinement, look at what those impacts are and how they would be handled, and then to provide that recommended design option here later this year, or later this summer, excuse me. And then it's a kind of a global look ahead for the engineering and design on the project. Really, we have a series of, this might be of interest to you as well. We have a series of station open houses that we'll be holding in June. We can get that information to you as well. So we'll have those for in St. Louis Park. I believe it'll be 1. So we can get you the dates and times for that. That kind of talks about where the stations are landing as it relates to those 3 respective sites in Louisiana, Wooddale, and Beltline. We would be looking to submit what are called municipal consent plans to each of the cities and the county here in the 3rd quarter of 13, complete the municipal consent process at the end of the year, and then try to finalize to a 30% level of design for those, for all aspects of the projects in Q1 of 14. Just wanted to let you know as well that we do have community outreach coordinators that can be a direct point of contact for you if you're interested. Sophia Guinness is our outreach coordinator for Minneapolis and St. Louis Park. More than happy to take your calls, get your emails. Any input is good input for us. And with that, I know you've got a lot going on tonight, so if you have questions or, again, first step in the process, more than happy to let you take some time, digest, give us some feedback. We'd be happy to take that.
Yeah, I know we don't have a lot of time tonight, but I want to take a little time, and if this is sort of basic, sorry, but can you say again who you are and who you represent? Because
Sure.
there are so many different entities that are at play. I just would like to get that clear.
Yes.
And then I've got a couple comments after that's clear to everybody.
Sure, no problem. Apologize for that, and you're right, there are a lot of different players. I am the project director for Southwest. I work for Metro Transit, which is an operating division of the Met Council. And the Met Council has been designated as the project sponsor by the Federal Transit Administration, or FTA, for the light rail project. So the Met Council is leading that team. We have, as you know, Hennepin County has supported the draft environmental impact statement up until the end of the year, at which time both the preliminary engineering and the work on the final environmental impact statement will now be, is in the hands of the Met Council. So we're doing both of those simultaneously.
And as I looked at what you were saying here, am I correct that one of the options that is still on the table is co-location of freight rail in the Kenilworth corridor?
That is correct.
And then you've talked about 2 or 3 other options that you are now exploring.
Correct.
And that those look to me like they impacted school property, potential safety concerns from a football field or central. I couldn't quite tell from the diagram exactly what was impacted, but they all look like they may have some impact on the school district. Did I get that?
In different ways, right. I mean, what we're looking at right now, and that's why I think it's important to get to you now to let you know what's going on. And then I really would, if you're interested, encourage you to be part of one of those public open houses where we will have more information. We also can come back when we have more graphics, more visuals that help better define those pieces as well.
And let me just say, my hope is that it does not end up in a decision that impacts the school property, and we've kind of explained our concerns to the DEIS, and I know there are variations here. But let me just ask, I didn't hear anything about mitigation, and we have huge concerns about mitigation should our hope not be realized. And, you know, I've heard rumors that maybe all the mitigation money is being spent somewhere else and won't be available when the time comes. And that's of huge concern to us. So if you can, I don't know if you're able to address that at all, but if you could a little bit here and then tell us what we do for more information, that
Sure.
would be appreciated.
Absolutely. So yes, one of the next steps is to look at, again, what are these different these different alternatives going to cost? What are they going to be, and what kind of impacts do they have on existing properties around them? As we noted, we're just starting to get into that feel of what property impacts there are, and then start the discussion about what kind of mitigations would be necessary to respond to that. And again, mitigations is part of a three-point. You avoid, you minimize, and you mitigate. So you start with the avoid. You try to avoid things when you can. You try to minimize what you can, and then you get to that third step. So those are all parts of the process that would have to be vetted out over here the next month or two here, so we start to see and understand better what those impacts could be.
And funding sources for mitigation, should it comes to that? What do you know about that?
Well, the project has a responsibility to do some level of mitigation, and we know that. So it depends on, again, if you're not able to avoid, if you can minimize, then you get to that next step. And so at this point, it's more about diagnosing what those impacts are and then understanding what could be done to avoid them. And then you go to the next step after that. But the project is a federalized project. It has part of the NEPA process. You need to look at all those things and understand them as you put together your final environmental impact statement. So those will need to be addressed as well.
Well, I'm quite confident we'll have more comments for you, but I'll tell you, any plan that's going to take our football field is going to meet with stiff resistance because we're a fully developed city and we don't want our significant athletic opportunities for our kids moved to, Plymouth or something. So I don't know where you stick a football field, and it would be quite expensive to take, I would think. So
it's a definite consideration. We recognize that. And so that's something we need to take a look at. We know that I'm in Plymouth, you don't want to drive them all the way out there. So I totally recognize that we would need to put it on the campus and keep it there. And so that would be part of what we'd need to negotiate and figure out how we could do that if that alignment was further considered.
I just wanted to say that we have responded each time. And number one for us is the safety of our students. That is paramount, and it's the number one issue that we have. And figuring out how our children are going to be safe at crossings and stations and everything else, that is our number one concern. With that said, noise, vibration, operations, and environmental are all issues that we need to get satisfaction on. Also, the funding, I understand, was it $37 million that was appropriated by the legislature? Is that correct? Or the project does continue, or was it bonded? I'm not sure how it was done.
Let me clarify that, because it was a little bit interesting how everything shook out at the end. As you know, there was a very limited bonding bill. Southwest was not included in that. However, there was an insertion into the transportation bill that put $37 million of general funds towards the project. So there's $37 million that was set aside for Southwest to continue its work through the engineering process that was put directly, not in a bonding bill, but into the general funds. And that's, the statute is there. So that was passed at the tail end of the session, like all the other bills. Yeah.
Chris, thanks again for
Yes.
coming this evening, and it is preliminary discussion, and I appreciate you keeping us in the loop. And if you would send over, you've given us dates, if you would give us times that we will send that out to board members. And I again appreciate Sandy,
Yes.
our finance director,
Yes, thank you.
and in charge of transportation, and being part of that task force that's going to help us as we can help you to help our families. So
Thank
again,
you.
thank you very much for coming
Appreciate
tonight.
that. I'll have Sophia coordinate with Sandy, getting you all that information. Thank you.
And thank you, Sophia, for being here. We'll move on down the agenda right now to our discussion items. And our first discussion item is our college possible update. And I'm sorry? Okay. Shakita will begin the discussion tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, my name is Shakita Thomas. I am currently the senior coach with College Possible, and this is my second year here at St. Louis Park. I would first like to thank the school board for inviting us here to share an update with you all, and also thank you, Mr. Metz, for being such a great support of the program for the past years that we've been here. And thank you all to the parents who are here tonight. I know it's late, but I would like to say thank you to you all as well. And last but not least, thank you all to the students who are here to present and share with you all their experience with the College Possible program. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you all, especially those who are not as familiar with the College Possible program, I will give you a little bit of background about who we are and what we do. And then I will go into sharing an update about the class of 2015, which are the sophomores who we just recruited and brought on board. And then from there, I will share with you all an update on the juniors and then the seniors. And then from there, we will wrap up. So College Possible is a nonprofit organization geared at helping low-income students to access and to graduate from college. And we not only provide support while they're in high school, but we also follow our students all the way through college completion. And here at St. Louis Park, we have a cohort of 40 students. And of course, that number can go up or down depending on the demand for the program. But basically, starting their junior year, they're recruited their sophomore year, so they have to apply for the program. There's an application process, and there is also an interview process. And then from there, we select a group of 40 students to be a part of our program. And so once they are in our program during their junior year, that's when we focus heavily on introducing them to like what is college and really focusing heavily on the ACT, because we all know that scores does matter, and that does open up a lot of doors for our students in the long run. And so we focus heavily on the ACT. The students take 4 practice tests, and then they take actually 2 real tests. And for those of you in this room, these tests are brutal. Like on Saturday mornings, they are here at 7:30 a.m. and they're taking this 4-hour-long test. And so for a lot of them, these are practice tests, and they're not the real deal. And so they have been committed, and they took this seriously, and that's a huge commitment. And then also we prepared documents and materials for them for their senior year. So when they come in their senior year, they can just hit the ground running. So during their senior year, that's when we actually start applying to colleges. We help them with the college process, we help them to find scholarships, and we also help them with the FAFSA. Okay, and then we help to transition them into our college program, which then takes them on and help to support them throughout their college experience. So any questions thus far about who we are and what we do? Okay, so I would like to share an update about the class of 2015, which would be our incoming class of sophomores. So this year we had 138 students who were referred to us by teachers, by staff members, and of that 138 students who were referred, we had 74 started applications and 55 completed applications. And from there, that's when we selected our cohort of 40 students. And then we have a wait list of 6 students. For the juniors, as I mentioned, we focus heavily on the ACT during the junior year. And so I do want to highlight that they have increased their ACT score by 22%, which is huge compared to for-profit test agencies that normally they see an increase between 12 and 14%. And then with College Possible, we normally have a benchmark of 21%. And then over half of the junior cohort are attending summer enrichment programs this summer, which is extremely important. You want to keep involved, you want to gain those skills and still be building your resume at the same time. And then I do have Otter here to share her experience with the junior program. Also, I forgot to mention, but I'm sorry that Travis Locke, he's the junior coach, so he works with the juniors. He wasn't able to make it today because he's ill, but I am speaking on his behalf when I'm doing an update on the juniors. But I would like for Otter to come up and share just her experience with College Possible thus far, and she's a junior. Yep.
Shakita said, my name's Otter.
What is your government, your legal name?
What? Oh, Juliana, but everyone calls me Otter. Even Mets calls me Otter. So I went into College Possible because I wanted to go to college. I mean, it's as simple as that, really. Neither of my parents graduated from college, so I decided it'd be really cool if I ensured that I went to college. This year has been really enriching for me. I know that's a pretty easy thing to say, but it's true. My ACT score would not nearly be as high as it is without College Possible, and not even that. It's just like education in general and the support that you get really helps you through your junior year, because I feel like your junior year, like, there's so much pressure on you, you know, like all these standardized tests and ACTs, SATs, like there's so much of it. I feel like it's almost worse than senior year. And so it takes a lot to get through, you know? So I feel like the support we had from our coaches and our classmates was really essential for me. And it was really helpful. Yeah, this summer I'm actually going to 2 Minnesota Institute for the Talented Youth programs. One's on like international diplomacy and like solving global issues, and the other's on debate. And it's kind of cool. Both classes together would have costed over $1,000, but I applied for a scholarship and got like a full ride. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, College Possible. Good stuff, guys.
Thank you, Otter. I promise I did not tell her to say all of that. So moving on to the update about the seniors. So I am proud to stand up here and speak about the seniors. They are, I wouldn't say my babies, they are like my sisters and brothers because I'm not too much older than them. But I've really seen them grow and mature into young women and men who are in front of you. And I am happy to share with you that 100% of the College Possible class got into college. And we're currently at a group of 36 right now, which is awesome. And then they've also received over $100,000 in institutional aid to attend college as well as a cohort. And then so currently over 90% have actually decided where they're going to college. And some of the places that they will be going to are Prairie View A&M, we have Gustavus, Jamestown, Northwestern, the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, Augsburg, St. Cloud, the University of Kansas, Wartburg, MCTC, Normandale, Lawrence University, Kalamazoo, St. Louis College of Pharmacy, St. Kate's, University of Tampa, and the University of Minnesota Crookston. And some of the scholarships that they've won, which are private scholarships, are from the Twin West Foundation, POLAT, also our St. Louis Park Rotary, and then the Dallas for Scholars program here in Club Z. So I would say they worked their butts off this year and last year to get to the point where they are at right now. And so I will have the seniors come up and introduce themselves and say where they're going, what they hope to study, and then maybe one thing that they have gained or one way that College Possible has helped them. So we'll start off with Luna. So you can come up. Mm-hmm.
If you can see me. I'm Luna. My name is Luna Gabriel. I'm a senior. I will be attending St. Cloud State University in the fall. I hope to study psychology, but I'm currently undecided at the moment. I feel like I'll try a bunch of different things and see. What else?
So one thing to share about the program and how it has helped you.
Oh, it did everything. Everything. It's like every time, like you would think it's like a hassle to go there, you know, after 7-8 hours of a school day, and then you go there after school for 2 extra hours, you know, 2 days a week. And it was just amazing because every time we went there, it was like a family, and you weren't the only one who was feeling draggy on a Saturday morning to take the ACT. You had like a bunch of other people sitting there, and we would all like, when it was like during the winter time, we'd all just sit in one little corner and huddle up and kind of sleep on each other until it started. And when it finished, it was like a victory walk, and we would all walk somewhere and go out to eat or something. And the whole entire 2 years was probably one of the best times of high school for me. And without them, I wouldn't have known where to go yet. So it was amazing for me.
Thank you.
Luna, if you had one piece of advice to give to the students coming up behind you, either the juniors or the sophomores or freshmen, what would it be? What would you tell them to do to get involved in, or to what would you tell them to do to get ready?
Well, for me, academically, I didn't do as well as I wanted to. And with a lot of sports and different organizations, once I hit junior year, because of College Possible, I got so much more involved. You know, I never thought I'd run cross country, and I did. I did also track, and like you meet so many different people. So I would say work hard academically, and also get really involved. And even though sometimes I'll have those hard moments where you feel like it's just unending, it does pay off in the end. So get involved and work hard.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Trey Jean, and I'm one of those 10% that is somewhat undecided, but I did make my deposit to go to St. Leo University. Oh, it's just that I got my acceptance letter into Oxford recently, so now I'm considering that. But one thing I would have to say about College Possible is that I would not have the opportunity to get to know the people that you see behind me. At first, they were foreign faces, but now they're familiar, and not just that, they're family. And the support that this program has offered me is really impactful on my life and on theirs. And it's something that I advocate. And then, what else?
Anything else? That's it?
No.
What do you hope to study in college?
I'm going in studying computer science, although I'm not really sure if that's something I really want to major in. It's just something that's been a big part of my life, computers and just technology in general, that I want to look forward to or look into. But I'm also interested in like psychology, journalism, and at the same time creative writing. But computer science is what I'm going in. It's just not something I think I'll stay with when I'm in college.
Thank you, Trey. Do you have questions?
Same question. For the students coming up behind you, what advice do you have for them, whether they're in admission or College Possible or not? What would you say to them to do to prepare for where you are today?
Just make the most of every opportunity you're given or that's before you, and just try your best at everything that you are offered, and just give it 110% and just be all that you can be, and not let yourself discourage yourself, and just open up and be you.
Oh, hi. My name is Cheyenne, and I plan to attend University of Mankato. My experience in College Possible was, I can say, awesome, because I have a great College Possible teacher, Ms. Shakira. One thing I can say about College Possible is that it's a great program. It helped me a lot, you know. And, you know, like, one experience that I really will be with me forever was my summer enrichment program. Because, you know, like, my passion, like, it's to study aviation, and in that program that I attend, I had the opportunity to experience new things, you know. That when I was in my country, I never thought that I would experience that, so I feel proud of that. And one advice that I will give to the new students is to work hard. You know, that's the word. They will confront a lot of challenge. You know, they will not be easy, but there is a lot of plans that it can do. If it doesn't have results, the plan A, they can do B, and if you don't, C and D, and whatever plans what they have to do. And yeah, that's what I recommend to the students, to work hard.
What country are you from?
Mexico.
And how long have you been here?
5 years.
Excellent. Thank you.
My name is Taylor Miles, and I will be attending Kalamazoo College this coming fall to study psychology, specifically gender psychology. What was I supposed to? Yes, the College Possible for me has, I guess, the most immediate way that it helped me was it helped me find my dream school, because I remember coming in as a very naive junior, thinking that I was going to attend the University of Minnesota, and there was no two ways about it. And I did apply there, and I decided that that was not where I wanted to go, and in fact kind of laughed at the acceptance letter, because at that point I had realized that the University of Minnesota Duluth would be the exact wrong place for me to attend. So this helped me reevaluate my personal values and where I would thrive best. It also, like it has been noted, the ACT help was extraordinary. Other than providing these practice tests for us and walking us through the ACT so we could learn the material better, it has just been a really big source of encouragement for us. Throughout the whole time, Shakina never said a discouraging word. It was always my intelligent college possible students. So for us, many of us are not at the top of our class or who have been looked down upon by our peers, it was a really big source of confidence for us. And I think that that's the key to succeeding in anything is confidence. So. And then one big piece of advice that I would like to give the people who are following behind me is don't limit yourself. Try everything that you can. If you have even a little bit of an interest in something, go for it, explore it. Because you can never, only good things could possibly come from trying out that experience, and you never know. You may find a passion in it.
So I would like to wrap up by saying thank you all for listening to us and listening to the students share their experiences with the program. And I would like to end by saying thank you to the students who are being here this evening and sharing your experiences as well. So if you all have any questions at this point, I'm here to answer those questions, and you all can sit down if you want. Thank you.
One question. You mentioned that you follow these students from the time, it's not just getting into college,
yes,
but it's continuing to follow them through college.
Yes.
How do you do that?
So we have a college program where we have what they call college coaches, who have a group of students who they work closely with through the year. So all of the coaches are AmeriCorps members. And so they usually are here for a year, and if they want to come back for another year, they reapply and can come back for the next year. But normally through the college program, they use these college coaches to provide a support system to the students that they have in their group. And so that can be as big as being on campus with the students and attending and having tutoring sessions. It can be as small as a phone call and talking to the students and walking them through maybe how to reapply for the FAFSA. And so it's basically the program, like the college program, is just there to help the students with whatever they need at that point. And one thing that's unique about our program is that even if the student is not enrolled, they still work with that student to make sure that they get back on track as well.
Okay, you keep saying the FAFSA. Could you explain that for our
Oh,
TV
sorry.
audience?
The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid, and that's where all of the seniors and current college students have to complete that application in order to get money, both like loans, grants, and institutional scholarships as well. So it's a way to get money to help pay for college. Mm-hmm.
And that AmeriCorps group that follows these students that are in college, and that's for 1 year, and then they can apply for another year?
Yes.
But they also follow them. So they're like their mentors? Each of the kids, they leave here, have a mentor in the college, and someone to look towards. That's great. Great program.
The difference between the high school program and the college program is that with the high school program, we work more intensely with the students because we are in the schools. We are meeting with the students twice a week for 2 hours each of those days after school. Whereas in college, some of them may not have college coaches on that campus, but they're communicating via social media, via phone, via text, via email, and things of that nature. Yes.
You know, I was so busy applauding when you said that 100% of the college possible seniors got into college that I missed the number of how many college seniors were in, what the number was of college seniors that got in. How many do you have?
So I have a total of 36 seniors.
Nicely
so we
done.
start off at 40.
Thank you, Shakita.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate it. And The next item on our agenda, and you are welcome to stay, is the school nutrition update. Well, Kathy, we'll give them a minute to, they're not going to stay with us.
Actually, Otter is in my office just about every day. Looking at the ingredient labels. I'm glad you're there.
Welcome.
Thank you to the superintendent and the chair of the board. I've just got 4 items, and you can ask me as many questions as you wish. 2 years ago, we started the School Nutrition Advisory Committee. And I will tell you, I dreaded doing this. And it has turned out to be one of the most beautiful professional experiences I've ever had. So, for the push, thank you. We met 4 times a year, and the conversations were, we just talked about things. We talked and talked and talked, and in the process came up with some very global approaches, because Sandy and I were both very concerned about the financial piece of how this would work. And the first thing they wanted to have happen, and we were able to do it this year, and that was to eliminate all canned vegetables because of the lining in the cans. So this past year, we had all fresh and frozen vegetables. They look better. The price is a little bit more, but they certainly are a beautiful product. The other thing they looked at so seriously was dye in food. And if you look at our ingredient labels, Otter can attest to this, the dye, I'm glad you do it. I mean, I give you a bad time, but I'm glad you do it. We used it as a filter for bringing in new items, and we eliminated some items. And now it's just a standard piece of our filter. So if we're looking at a new product, we look at price, and then we look at, does it have dye in it? And we'll just continue to do that. Those are the 2 biggest things. And at the end, they started to work on addressing a la carte items throughout the whole building, all the buildings. And that leads into the next part. There are major federal regulatory things that have been happening with the meal pattern for school meals, for both lunch and breakfast. And the breakfast one won't be implemented fully for another year. And then also for a la carte items. The one this year was on the meal pattern requirement. And we had to go through a certification process on our meals to get an additional 6 cents. But if students take all the food items, it costs us about 20 cents more a meal to get that 6 cents. But we got the certification. You've all heard about this. It's throughout the nation. It has created incredible complexities, particularly at the high school level. For us, we've lost 80 students a day at the high school. The K-8, not so much. We've lost 40 meals a day. But you know, along with this, we've been doing the new scratch items that we've put in. We've taste tested every one of them. The students have told us they loved them. We've put it on the menu, and at the high school, the students won't eat the spaghetti that's from scratch. And finally, in desperation, we went back to the one they've eaten forever. And they came back. I mean, literally, we lost 300 meals a day, just like that. We're not alone. I talk to my peers. I see statistics across the nation. The interesting thing about this pattern is the intention is very, very honorable. The calories are as high as they were before. It is where the calories are placed. And the entrees have gotten smaller, and the calories have gone into increase in fruit and vegetable offering. I think where the strength will come from this is with our youngest kids, K-8, moving forward. Finally, in May, we started to add in some a la carte items. that cost more, and I think we're going to do it next fall. Because I'm not, and this pattern keeps changing, you have to keep that in mind. As soon as we've gotten things in place, we're told they're going to back off of this or add that, and so it's been a real roller coaster. The real wonderful thing, well, you know what that pattern is. You know, it's increase in whole grains. 51% or more of the products need to be whole grain. Their calorie ranges, lower in sodium. The trans fat issue, that was gone 3 years ago. But then this increase in fruit and vegetable portions. The one that's been really fun is the Aquila Grab and Go. It highly, highly successful. We've served 100 more children a day with that program. The first day of school in September, we served 90 kids. The second day, 150. The third day, 250. I mean, it went like that. And I think the teachers have found it valuable for the children. I know Clarence Pollock is very supportive. Those are the three things. Now, with this decrease in participation, you know, we constantly adjust to accommodate this. But that leads to the increase, the request for an increase in lunch prices to go up 5 cents at each level, and breakfast a dime. We haven't increased breakfast for years. That's basically what I want to tell you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
That Aquila program is a fantastic. I stopped over there one time and watched that go through, and there's a lot of kids that that participate in that, and it's great. And it's part of the nutritional. Have a good meal, you think more, and the whole thought process behind that. It surprises me that when we go to a scratch menu, and then we have a reduction of participation. Could you explain? I know you've explained it, but it's just hard for me to fathom how can a nutritional scratch menu work out less advantageous than a packaged meal?
I'm not sure. I do know that the from scratch items that we are doing, there's a different flavor profile to it. And even when we taste test it with students and they say, yes, I like that, that's great, it still is not as successful as, the spaghetti is a prime one. You know, that stuff is manufactured to specification and turns out the same. Every million cans they pack, it's exactly the same. And for me now, I've gotten that I don't enjoy it. Interestingly enough, our youngest children like the from scratch one that we do. And it's a very simple recipe. It doesn't have a real bold flavor profile. But we also have gone from spaghetti noodles that are harder to manipulate for little kids to just curlies. They're just small curlies. I think we're okay with our elementary children bringing them back through the more from scratch items. But honestly, I think that young people have been eating a certain way for so long, and in particular, high school students, that it's tough. It's just tough, and I don't have the answers. I keep looking for them with my peers, and I'm very active with the West Suburban Director Group, and we share a lot of recipes and a lot of techniques and a lot of ways of doing things, and we do training with all of our managers and lead people on production, use of knives, use of flavors, spices, all of that. I haven't given up, but I will tell you, it's a bit frustrating. I know high schools in the nation that are seriously looking at going off the program because it has so altered their ability to meet the needs of their students.
I'm sure you'll think through this. I have a couple more questions. I promise to try to keep them close. So I'm sure through your process you'll think about maybe introducing one scratch meal per week, and then just keep one per week at the high school level, and then let them also have their high sodium, high sugar, other things that's prepackaged. But you guys can work through that. It's just a suggestion. And then I just have a hard time in basic economics if we're losing our customers to increase the price on the ones that are paying. I just don't quite understand that quite yet. And I'm new here.
Sure.
And I am more in the business world. But typically, if you're starting to lose your customers, you would try to entice those customers back somehow.
We for sure want to attract them back. That's the bottom line. You know, we have constant price increases with food, increases with labor, and our other items. And a nickel is a pretty small amount, and I don't have it with me tonight, but I've got a list of the West Suburban programs and who's going up and that type of thing. And the 275 to 280 we're looking at is pretty common for, you know, for this area. This increase is not going to generate a lot of new money for us. It will at best help us avoid losing money. It'll keep our fund balance just about level. So it's not done to, you know, to do a whole lot more. But you just need to. We haven't gone up. This is the third year that we haven't increased prices, and yet our labor has gone up every year. Our food costs have gone up every year, whether it's milk or grain or bread. It's just real hard to stay flat. I wish we could, but it's just really, really difficult.
And the last one. Last year, you guys did sent out parents or people can volunteer to send in recipes for making things from scratch. Are you going to do that again this year?
I don't think so. What we're going to do this year is go back. It was interesting. We had probably 30 or 35 recipes that were turned in, and we ended up using 4 of them. And I think 2 we'll continue to use, but I think 2 of them we will not use. This next year, we're going to go back and honestly look at USDA recipes from 35 years ago that were all from scratch. And the lead people and managers in the building are going to go back into what can we do that's as close to from scratch as possible to attract our young people in. And a lot of places are doing that. I don't think we're going to ask the parent. It's very, very difficult. It sounds wonderful to ask parents what's their favorite menu and to send it in, but that is their family's favorite recipe. And when you look at the diversity in our district, that means it's not the family favorite recipe for a lot of the customers. We taste tested all of those, though, and gave them out in the cafeteria, and those are always really marvelous experiences, and the responses back from the children. In fact, I went to Festival of Nations this year, and one of the recipes we had was one that was used in the Nigerian booth at the Festival of Nations. So it's just a constant effort to try and come up with a way to satisfy as many people as possible. I don't know all the answers. I know very few, in fact. I mean, the longer I'm in the business, the more I work at it, sometimes the less I really do understand.
Will you still accept recipes if I send one to you?
Oh, sure, send it over.
Okay.
Send it over.
All right.
Yes, yeah. But we had some that had items we can't use. I mean, for example, that had real high sodium content items, or had very expensive items that we couldn't use, or had sesame seed oil, things like that. And we have kids that are allergic to sesame seed oil. So there's so many things that we have to worry about that in a given family they would not necessarily have to worry about unless they had a child with that issue.
I'll try to restrict it to some that you could possibly
Send it
use.
over.
I'll do that.
All right.
So I might have missed something here. So what is the breakdown between the amount of meals that you're producing that are from scratch and what is from scratch? What is and what's not?
You know, it's probably about 60% that we do from scratch. And from scratch is kind of a misnomer, too. You know, we get our vegetables are fresh or they're frozen. That's all an item that's from scratch. But if you're looking at pure entrees, we maybe have, I think it's maybe about 50 to 60% of our entrees. And I'm not sure we'll ever get a whole lot broader than that, because we aren't going to make pizza from scratch, and yet we're going to keep serving pizza. You know, there's some things like that. We're not going to make lasagna from scratch, and yet we can get beautiful lasagna roll-ups in. And we're going to serve those, because then we can put a marinara sauce on top of them. So some of it's actually a partial from scratch. It will never go back to 40 years ago. It just can't. I mean, there isn't the time. We don't have the equipment. There isn't the money. There are food safety issues. That kind of thing. If you look at, we do a lot of partial from scratch, but not totally pure from scratch. I mean, our hamburger patties, we don't get those in raw. If you get in bulk chubs of ground beef, what you have to do to thaw it and keep the meat safe, and then make it into patties, and then to cook it off, and then make sure they're all cooked to the best, safest temperatures so we don't have food poisoning outbreaks, it just isn't going to happen again.
Separate question. So on this list that shows the increase in prices, it says the adult meals are $2.90 without milk, $3.45 for the full meal. Are those increases, or are those unchanged?
Those are in the $2.90 is an increase, and the $3.45 is an increase. And we have a lot of adults that don't want the milk, and since we do milk at 55, that's as close as I can get to it, to let them get a meal but not have the milk.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll be asked to vote on the price increase. Any other questions on that? Okay.
I just want to make clarifying.
Go ahead.
So you said 50 to 60% of the meals in the buildings are made from scratch?
They're from scratch or partially from scratch, and that'll continue, and it'll slowly grow as we can make it work. And we've got our ingredient labels on everything. We've got nutritional analysis on everything. More?
No, I just, okay.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
That completes the discussion items on tonight's agenda. At this point, we'll look at the consent agenda. It is recommended that the board approve the consent agenda as presented. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Nancy. Second?
Second.
Second by Jim. All those in, any discussion?
Should note the retirement. I guess we can't
Yep.
honor the last week.
Well, we did, yeah, we did that last week. Yeah, as Jim noted, we do have one retirement on there, Meredith Homans, and we honored our retirees last week, our last board meeting, and she's a very special teacher. By the way, that's a family one for me, so I will note it. Just because both she and her husband went to Grinnell, and that's where my son ended up going. And my son has a job today, and that's a big deal. So for a history major, when I see all these history people come through, I'm really proud of them, because I know they'll end up with jobs because my son did. So, but Grinnell College is very special to us, and Meredith Homans is a special teacher. So I should acknowledge that.
And I did the math at home after I looked at this, and I knew that she was retiring, so if she could have just held on for 9 more years, she could have had both of my kids, so it's unfortunate that she couldn't stick around.
I was only looking for 3 more years. She had both of my other 2, and I was looking for 3 more. We talked about it, and she said she can't do it.
And I would just add that Meredith Holman's was also one of our applied for and did very well in the Teacher of the Year contest this year, and so we're really proud of her for that. Takes a lot of initiative to do that and a lot of material to submit, and she should have been the Teacher of the Year. No offense to the one who was, but Meredith's awesome, and so we're going to miss her.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. 6-0 vote. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the 2013-2014 school lunch and breakfast prices as discussed. And it is recommended the board approve the proposed increase 2013-2014 school lunch and breakfast program as presented. Motion to approve? So moved. Moved by Larry. Second?
Second.
Second by Nancy. Any further discussion?
A little bit here. I understand that there's increases on prices increases for food and staff, and we haven't had any increases for a while. But it just seems that when we go to these meetings and talk to some of the staff or students, and then they always talk about the food, and I just wonder if there's something more that we can do for them.
Further discussion? Joe?
I'll be opposing this. I think the product is not where it should be. It's getting there. I understand that we're, losing some revenue the way it is, but I think we just need to stick to it. And I'm not quite there with the economy being the way it is of increasing our lunch prices. So for those 2 reasons, I'll be opposing this.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed, no?
No.
Okay, we have a 4-2 vote. 4 in favor, 2 opposed.
Whenever we have a split, I need a roll call vote, please.
I'll call the roll. Larry Shapiro?
Aye.
Ken Morrison?
No.
Bruce Richardson?
Aye.
Nancy Gores?
Aye.
Jim Yarosh? Aye. Joe Tatalovich? No. I have 4-2 votes with Morrison and Tatalovich as the noes.
Next item on the agenda is the communications and transmittals. Do we have any tonight? Nancy?
Yeah. I do. We're coming up on the end of the school year, and I confirmed this with Mr. Metz before he left to make sure that our school calendar, sometimes there are changes once we publish, but there haven't been. And so if you've got your calendar at home, you can take a look. Tonight, there was an orchestra spring concert. Tomorrow, if you have high school students, there's the academic awards and scholarships. But Thursday this week, the 30th, is an annual event that I always find to be great fun, and that is the high school choirs, the Pops concert, and the senior recital. And so our seniors get to kind of do their solo song, and it's a wonderful experience if you have the chance to come and see them. And then commencement is next Thursday. I believe that's the 6th.
Yes.
At 7:30, so the year is coming to a close.
Anyone else? Joe?
So last Thursday, I believe, was the Aquila exhibition, and that was a great event. It was right after our really tough Wednesday here in the district. So it was great to kind of get back into this, the swing of things and see some really great work by the students, handling some some really weighty topics. One in particular that I saw the presentation on was girls' education throughout the world, and there were 2 girls in the group, and the third person was this really macho guy. And they asked, someone asked him afterwards, what he thought about the subject, and he very intelligently described what he saw as the inequities in the world and the barriers to girls' education in certain societies. And so it was just a fantastic event again. And kind of piggybacking on that, I think we have the Peter Hobart exhibition. I believe there are 2 opportunities to see that. One is this Friday, I think, at 2 o'clock, and then Monday night, June 3rd, sometime in the evening for that. So I look forward to those as well.
Thank you. Anyone else? We'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Jim, second? Second. Second by Ken. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We have a 6-0 vote, and we are adjourned.